Hello, my lovelies. Welcome back to my channel. I am Wonder. I will be your host for today. No, I'm joking. This video I am filming today is from a comment that I got on a post I made, basically saying, if you could ask me anything, what would you ask me? I will tag them below, since it was a public comment made on a public post. I don't feel like, I shouldn't tag them, but so I will tag them below. But basically they asked about, they asked about my deities I work with, and just ask some questions about them. So I thought I would do, number one, I love talking about, the current deity I work with. So I'm always down to talk about her. But also there may be another deity moving in. I don't know. I'm still in the beginning stages, but I will talk about that. Oh, that was my dryer, if you heard that. But I will talk about the maybe deity after I talk about my OG. So the deity I work with, that I actively work with, is the Morrigan. She is a war, magic, sovereignty goddess, right? She is known as a threefold goddess, kind of like the other ones like Bridget and what have you, but not in the type of the like maid mother, I'm sorry, I feel like I'm gonna sneeze, maid mother crone type of situation. They are seen as, that's Vargas, he's on the table. They are seen as completely whole and separate. They have their own personalities, they have their own everything, right? But so this person commented, just asked a few questions. Farfar's moving. Oh, and he hit the he's going to lay with his brother. So she asked a few questions, so let's do it. What led me to work with the Morrigan? So I've talked about this before, and I will link the videos where I talk about the Morrigan. I will link them below. But I started working with the Morrigan back in about 2016, 2017. I did not seek her out. She sought me. At the time, I was going through a very rough time in my life. I was nearing the end of my marriage. Now, granted, my marriage did not end until, like a couple years later. But I was nearing the end. I was coming to the realization, that my life was going to fundamentally change once again. And she sought me out with vultures and sounds and just this feeling of, and I talked about it on me and my bestie's old podcast, Crafting Cast, about how it just felt like this oppressive feeling, almost like that feeling you get when a storm's coming and you're standing outside and it's this very like charged, oppressive, like intense something's coming type of feeling. And when I meditated and, well, not meditated, but when I really thought on it and I read the cards and I did all the things, I came to the realization that it was the Morrigan. I started researching her. I fell in love. If you know me, you know that to think of a deity that I would have worked with, it would not have been the Morrigan. I am very like nice and empathetic, and not saying the Morrigan is not, because she is. But she is very much known as a war death goddess. Just like up front, people tend to either not acknowledge or forget the fact that she is also a goddess of, like I said, sovereignty, and a goddess of magic, and a goddess of women and shape-shifting, and, you know, she's all the things. But I started working with her, and I have now been working with her since 2017, so that's 18, 19, 20, about 8 years now. And I have an altar to her downstairs in my living room. I have all the things on there. I have a statue, what have you. Why do I work with them? I work with the Morrigan because, number one, she helped me in a time when I felt very alone. And I had support and help from, you know, like my bestie and things like that, but I felt very much alone in that, of course, it was me having to make this choice and this, you know, but decision, and me having to come to terms with the things that were happening in my life. And she gave me the strength and the purpose. Sorry, Fargus is hitting the thing again. The strength and the purpose to actively seek out the things that I wanted for my life. And for that, I am eternally grateful. I will even if which I don't think that this will happen, but, you know, sometimes your journey with a deity is only for a certain length of time. Sometimes it's forever. If we ever part ways and decide, you know, to not work together anymore, I will still be eternally grateful to her, because she did help me in a time of great upheaval and chaos, and it was not a good time for me. Why do I feel the Morrigan is special? Just because I think she is, number one, undervalued. I think people, like I said earlier, I think people only focus on the fact that she's a death war goddess, but those are only a small portion of who she is as a whole, and the whole picture is amazing. How do I view them? I view the Morrigan as a very, and I'm going to take this literally, like how I picture her in my head first. I view her as a very, like, statuesque, dark hair, usually longer, but sometimes like my length probably, you know, like a little bit longer. Striking eyes, very commanding presence. And then how do I view them as just like in general, in like a spiritual sense? I view them as a very strong, inspiring. She is empathetic, but her empathy can come across as very sharp, as very like, she understands what, you know, like you're going through and what is happening, but she has no time for nonsense type of deal. So you get that comforting, I understand aspect, but on the heels of that is, okay, I get it, I understand, but now's the time to do something about it, you know. I have a tendency to sometimes wallow in the like more negative emotions that I feel, and she helps to like be like, no, you've had your time, you've wallowed, now it's time, you know, to get moving again and to move on. So I love working with her. I just love her presence, and I love her so much. And I know I talked about this in a video before on my sacred text video, which I will also link below. I did talk about this book I have on her, The Priestess of the Morrigan, Prayers, Rituals, and Devotional Work to the Great Queen by Stephanie Woodfield. This book is one of my sacred texts, like I talked about in that video. I love this book so much. Stephanie Woodfield also wrote another book for the Morrigan that I just recently got and I am diving into, which is Celtic Lore and Spellcraft of the Dark Goddess Invoking the Morrigan. This is a very, she thick with 2 C's, okay? This is a very in-depth look at the Morrigan again. It's by the same author, Stephanie Woodfield, and I am very excited to deep dive into this. The Morrigan is wonderful. If you are ever feeling drawn to her, or if you feel that she is reaching out to you, I know I have a friend who was contemplating the Morrigan and she just needed like clarification, and so I read with my tarot deck that I have specifically for the Morrigan. I pulled some cards for her to just see if, you know, the Morrigan was reaching out to her. If you are ever questioning, read tarot cards. If you're into dreams, you know, like do a little ritual to call her into your dreams to give you, you know, like an answer that you are, you know, wanting to know, whether that be yes or no. Look at the signs around you, pay attention to things. And when I say, you know, the signs around you, like where I live, I've talked about this before too, but where I live in a very rural part of Kentucky. So there are a lot of carrion birds and there are a lot of, you know, like dead animals and things around, you know, so carrion birds are all, I see them quite often. So I know their normal habits, their normal patterns. So for me, when they started going outside of their normal, that's when I sat up and paid attention. I was like, okay, I see them all the time, but they've never acted like this. Like the one literally swooped at my car or circling directly above me for like an extended amount of time, you know, things that were out of the norm for them. So if there are things where in your, you know, like nature or where you live that you see quite often, look for the out of the norm. So if it's normal, you know, for you to see like a fox, don't take it just because you've seen a fox to indicate, you know, like one deity or another. If you see foxes like more than usual, if you see them, you know, like barking at you or, you know, just something that's not normal, that's what I would look for. But if you are, I wish you the best. She is amazing, but she is a strict teacher. I'll tell you that. Okay. So here recently, and this all started with a dream. So I had a dream a few months ago. It was probably like 6 months ago, probably like late 2024. But I had a dream that I was at this like witchy pagan like festival type of situation. And I was walking up to multiple vendors and I was asking them if they wanted to talk about Mother Yaga. And I was going up to multiple of them saying, you know, that I wanted to talk about Mother Yaga and I wanted to see, you know, like what, like wares and trinkets, you know, that they had. But I kept wanting to talk to people about Mother Yaga. And I woke up and I was like, Mother Yaga. And then it kind of hit me, you know, the Baba Yaga. And so I told my friends about the dream, told them what was in it, what had happened. And so I have started my process of researching and seeing how I feel about the Baba Yaga and seeing about maybe working with her as well. So I have gotten a few books on Baba Yaga because I love books. Books are what I go to number one, bring me just like comfort, but also information and research and, you know, knowledge, right? So I've gotten a few Baba Yaga books. The first one is From Pagan Portals Baba Yaga, Slavic Earth Goddess. Then I got Becoming Baba Yaga, Trickster, Feminist, and Witch of the Woods by Chris Spacek. And then this is the one I'm currently in the midst of reading, and it is very good so far. Baba Yaga's Book of Witchcraft, Slavic Magic from the Witch of the Woods by Madame Pamita. This one is very good so far. I am reading all about her. I am reading her stories and her myths, and I am feeling her out, seeing if I want to work with her. Our beginning relationship journey is very different to how it was with the Morrigan. So I'm kind of finding myself very like confused how to move forward, or not confused, but maybe like very tentative in how I moved forward. With the Morrigan, it was very, oh, she's here, we're gonna work together, and this is what I'm gonna do. With Baba Yaga, it's very, I had that dream, and then I've seen other things. Baba Yaga images and things like that have been popping up a lot more here recently. And so I'm very slowly researching and slowly seeing if I want to see how this is going to go. But I am very much enjoying what I am learning so far. My favorite is that she rides around in a mortar, and the pestle is what she like, you know, propels herself with, but she also bashes people on the head with them. Of course, her hut on chicken legs. I did find out that, or read in one of the books, that her cabin actually like continuously spins, so no one can just like stumble upon her cabin and like come in. You have to have the right intentions, and you have to say the right words for the cabin to stop spinning and for you to actually go inside. But I am viewing her in a whole new way, and I'm very much enjoying this journey. It's a lot slower and a lot calmer than it was with the Morrigan, which I'm enjoying. But yeah, that's my take on the Morrigan, and possibly Baba Yaga. I may be making more videos about her. I may be making, or this book is so information dense, I may just make a video just about this book, or just a video about this book. I don't know, but we will see. But I love the journey I am on with the Morrigan. Love my beginning journey with Baba Yaga. Let me know what deities y'all work with, how you started. I'm so curious how people decided to work with Deity. Whether you sought them out or whether they sought you, I would love to know, because I'm fascinated by it. Let me know. But I really enjoyed making this video. I love talking about her. Like I said, if you have any questions about her, let me know. I will answer them to the best of my knowledge. I'm actually wearing my Morrigan necklace right now. It is a raven on a skull, and I did a little ritual to anoint, or say that this is hers. So I wear it quite often. But thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed. Like I said, I will link my other videos below, and the person who asked the question, because it was a very good question. But I hope you have a good day, week, month, year. I wish you nothing but blessings and growth, and I will see you next time. Bye.